Rasta Jeff, you bad motherfucker.
Oh shit, Rasta Jeff in the house.
Greetings from Podcastville. This episode of the Grow From Your Heart podcast is brought to you by our friends at SeedsHereNow.com. SeedsHereNow.com offers seeds from all of the industry's leading breeders, including Miss Jill Genetics, Ethos Genetics, and of course, Irie Genetics. Everything at SeedsHereNow.com is backed by their award-winning satisfaction guarantee. And for my friends on a tight budget, SeedsHereNow.com offers several packs for under $30, as well as amazing monthly sales. Make sure to use coupon code GFYH10 while checking out to save a few bucks. Again, that is coupon code GFYH10 while checking out at SeedsHereNow.com. All right, here we go. Welcome back, podcast world. I'm your host. My friends call me Rasta Jeff, and this is episode 625 of the Grow From Your Heart podcast. In this episode, I'm going to read a few Patreon questions. Before we get there, let's do a few shout-outs to a few members of the 710 Club. Of course, the 710 Club are those folks who support us on Patreon at the $7.10 a month level or higher. So let's kick it off with the big Grow From Your Heart podcast. Thank you shout-out to my buddy Kess Burton. Let's send a thank you shout out to ADHD Grower and Don't Tread on Me 420. Let's send a big thank you shout out to Big Sexy Dank and the Turp Burglar. Let's send a thank you shout out to Caribou Heart Genetics and Josiah W. I want to send a big thank you shout out to the BAFTA and Girls Grow 2. Let's send a big thank you shout out to Red Eyed Optimist and my buddy Aldi. And then let's wrap it up with the big Grow From Your Heart podcast thank you shout out to my buddy OG Purple Thumb. Big thanks and big shout out to everybody who supports the show on Patreon. If you are not already supporting the show and you would like to learn how to do so, all you have to do is visit www.patreon.com/Grow From Your Heart. All of the information you need will be right there on the screen, and I did include that link in the show notes and in the video description to make it easy for all of my friends. Maybe you're working, maybe you're driving, maybe you got the kids, maybe you can't pull out the iPad or the iPhone and click on the link right now. It will be there when you're ready. Patreon.com/Grow From Your Heart. All right, in a recent episode, I did talk about having what I was calling tolerance swings. I was mentioning that sometimes I can buy a gram of concentrates, and let's be real, I never buy a gram of concentrates. I always buy several grams of concentrates. Let's just be honest with each other here. But when I buy concentrates, sometimes I get home and I smoke a gram of concentrates, and I'm like, I really wish I would have gotten a better buzz. And it has nothing to do with the concentrates because I'm buying the same brand all the time. I prefer a certain brand. I like a certain little range of flavors which they offer. So the concentrates are consistent. Then there will be some days when I can open up that same jar of concentrate and take just, like maybe a 0.25, maybe a 0.2 of a gram of a dab out of that thing and just be completely obliterated. My eyes get heavy, they get red, time starts traveling funny. I can't remember what the fuck I was thinking about. So I have what I call drastic tolerance swings. One day I can look at the jar of dabs and get fucking wrecked. One day I can smoke the whole jar of dabs, all of the dabs, and not get a proper buzz. There are several things that I think contribute to that. A lot of them are health-wise. I realized maybe I was catching a cold when I was getting that super low tolerance time period for a week there. Had a little bit of a sniffle. That was rude to do into the microphone, but it was a good example. I was getting a little bit of a sniffle there. I noticed I was taking a nap more than usual. So I may have been fighting off a little bit of a cold. That may have been affecting my cannabis tolerance, just getting extra high because there were other things happening in my body. Also, I've noticed my levels of hydration have a lot to do with how buzzed I get from cannabis. If I've been drinking sugary and sweet drinks, maybe I've had some juice or something. Maybe I've had, I don't drink a lot of sugary, junky crap, but if I've had too much sugary foods or snacks or something, juice with a lot of sugar in it, real fruity kombucha, I got that high blood sugar, I can't get the proper buzz because I'm just competing with the sugar. If I've eaten a big fatty meal with a bunch of rice and a bunch of noodles and stuff, sometimes the dabs make me more lazy than they will give me a nice head buzz. So a lot of it has to do with diet, with my intake, with my other things I'm putting into my body, what I'm reacting with, responding to. Hydration is one of the major issues in my dab ability. If I'm not properly hydrated, I can't take a big dab because my lungs say, bro, what are you doing? If I'm well hydrated, if I've had several glasses or bottles of water today and I take a big fat dab, my lungs go, yeah, dude, you're nice and hydrated. You can use that dryness into your lungs and it's not going to be a big deal. So a lot of it is physical. A lot of it is what I'm putting into my body to go along with the dabs, to prepare for the dabs and recover from the subsequent dabs. Another thing that people chimed in with, the most common response and reaction and comment was, company have a lot to do with your dabs and your response to consuming cannabis. When you're by yourself and you smoke or you eat edibles, you don't have anybody to look over and go, dude, are you as fucking high as me? Or dude, did you even get anything off of those edibles? You don't have that. You don't have anybody to ask, anybody to laugh at or compare it to or to give you hints. It's just you trying to figure life out. You may not even notice, and this is going to segue into the next part here, you might not even notice how high you are until you change your environment. A lot of people said environment and setting have a lot to do with your buzz. Your environment will give you a phenotypical expression on your buzz. That's just a grow room joke. But environment and setting have a lot to do with it. I've noticed if I dab right here or if I dab in the other office space, which you guys are familiar with, if you've seen my live videos or seen me on other shows, I've got another office space in which I frequently take dabs and hang out and do recordings in there. If I hang out in those spaces, my tolerance is unlimited because I don't have to do anything except to deal with my personal space. I know where this microphone is. I know where this table is. This chair is secure. I'm safe. In my office space, I've got a nice, chill, super comfy office chair. I've got all the music I can imagine. I got a nice sound setup in there. I got the AirPods in my ears. There's a couch in there. Nothing could go wrong. There's a change of clothes in there. There are a bunch of sneakers. It's a chill place. Nothing could go wrong in my little chill areas. So sometimes I'll take a bunch of dabs, and for the sake of telling a story that a lot of people are going to listen to, I'll call my Uber driver and they'll come pick me up. As soon as I get in that Uber, I think to myself, holy shit, I'm high as fuck. But when I was chilling in the office or chilling at the recording studio space, I didn't even notice how buzzed I was. I was cool. Everything was going just fine. And then I walked outside and felt that outside air hit my skin, and I went, whoa, shit. And the neighbor across the way said, what's up, Rasta Jeff? And I went, hey, bro, and realized I'm talking in slow motion and hearing in 3D. And then you get in the Uber, and the Uber driver's like, where you going? And you're like, I don't fucking know, dude. I typed that in a minute ago, and I already forgot. Where are you taking me? Like, you don't realize until you change your setting and your environment. And then you get somewhere. How many times have you thought you were cool? Maybe you go somewhere and allegedly, hypothetically, you drive to, and I'm just going to say in high school back in the day where I'm from, we all went to the mall. I like to go hit the mall on Saturdays and buy some sneakers, go see if there's any new sneaker drops. So sometimes allegedly you drive to the mall, you get to the mall parking lot, you roll a fat one up, or maybe you burn it on the way to the mall, whatever you do, right? You smoke on the way to the mall and you think I'm legit. You get out of the car, the cloud comes out of the car, you all giggle, you fucking put in eye drops like nobody's going to notice that all 6 of you are walking around smelling like a fucking dispensary in the mall, giggling at stupid shit, looking stoned in there. You think you're getting away with it, but it's cool. Anyway, you walk into the mall and then you realize, oh my goodness, there are people in here and there are stores and there are lights, and I'm so high that it's almost uncomfortable, but it's really fun because I like that sort of a thing. I've noticed that when I change my setting, my environment, my surroundings, I really get a different buzz. I've noticed that when we used to go to city council meetings, I would get the most paranoid, weird, anxiety-ridden buzz, and it was cool because I could have cannabis. You weren't supposed to take it in there, but I mean, I could be around cannabis. I could be stoned. I was a medical cannabis patient there talking about medical cannabis. I was definitely consuming between work and the meetings, so I was going in and they knew that I smelled like cannabis and looked like cannabis, and for some reason that buzz was just so fucking nerve-wracking being in there super high. I probably would not have enjoyed it as much. It probably would have been even more nerve-wracking if I wasn't nice and blazed. So then there are places that I go that I feel just totally fucking, I don't even notice that I'm blazed. Once I get to the dispensary, I'm like, what's up, guys and gals? Because my friends work at all the dispensaries where I shop, and I'm just hanging out with my bros, hanging out with my friends. I got to show them my ID and give them money, but we all know each other. We say what's up. It's a fist bump situation. So when I'm at the dispensary, I don't notice how buzzed I am. Get back in the car to get in the Uber again to get back home. And then I'm like, dude, you're going too fast. And he's like, I'm parked, bro. Like, it's just all about setting, scenario, location. That is a huge contributing factor to the buzz, which I feel like a lot of us receive. Who you're with. Imagine if you're smoking with me. Some people, and not to sound that way, some people do meet me and smoke with me and they act all starstruck and weird. That's really funny to me. But then smoking with me, you've got nothing to worry about. Like, I'm not the cops. I'm not Babylon. I'm not your mom. I'm not your lawyer. I'm not your doctor. We're going to smoke dabs and we're going to have a good ass time. I don't care what you do once we get stoned. Do your thing. We're going to have fun. Be weird. Eat snacks. Say strange things. Stare off into space. I expect it from you. I got you too damn high. Then imagine smoking dabs with your doctor. You're going to get a really weird buzz. It's going to be kind of fucking strange. If you got a cool lawyer, you might get to smoke some dabs with your lawyer, but it's all about who and where, what you're smoking. Sometimes in the car, you got that little protective bubble. As soon as you get out of the car, you're not in that bubble. Life is weird out there. It's lots of environment. You think you're fine until you pull up to the drive-thru window and try to order. You guys be careful if you're smoking in the car. These are all just hypothetical, funny ideas that I may or may not have experienced in my high school days. Another thing that heavily, in my opinion, contributes to the buzz which I receive from consuming my cannabis is not only the product. The product is definitely a huge factor. I've said that I've got my favorite brands. I've got a few brands I really select and support. None of them sponsor the show. They don't pay me to talk about them. I just like to buy the products because they taste good. They smoke well. They give me a good buzz. Most of the time I buy Green Dot Labs, the live batter. Part of the time I buy the Binsk batter because it tastes good and it gives me a nice buzz. There are a couple more that I'll buy just in the periphery if those are ran out or sold out or whatever. But that's what I prefer. Those products give me a nice buzz. If I get something, and I like the batters. When I smoke the diamonds, the buzz comes on real fast, real strong. It's more of a head sweat, fucking bug-eyed sort of a thing. Sometimes that's what I'm after. So that's a different sort of a buzz. The product is what I'm talking about. Shatter gives me a completely different buzz than the diamonds, the sauce, or the batter. Smoking flower is a completely different buzz. I like to carry a pipe around when I'm doing chores around the house, if I'm just cleaning up, if I'm cooking food, if I'm cleaning up from cooking food, if I'm chopping vegetables, just got a pipe sitting there and I just fucking take a rip off the pipe. There's usually a pipe within reach, just like a little security blanket, just to keep the little buzz going. It doesn't give me what I need from a dab, but it'll make the dab last a little longer. So the product, and then what I was going to get to next is the device. My favorite rig, I'm going to say that sentence again because I feel like I slurred that one all out. My favorite rig gives me a completely different buzz than my non-favorite rig. My first place rig hits way better than my second place rig. I love my second and third place rigs. I've got a lot of rigs, but my first place rig is first place for a reason. Something about the ritual of the way it fits in my hand, the way the mouthpiece fits against my mouth, the way that the carb cap reaches, the way that the dabber reaches, it's far enough away from my eyes to where I don't look cross-eyed trying to get the dabber into the banger. And then when I go to carb cap it, it's not too far away from my face, but it's not so big that it's cumbersome. My rig is my favorite rig, and it gives me the most beautiful hits. I know that rig. I know how hard to pull. I know how hard to draw. I know how long to draw. I know how to wiggle the carb cap. I know exactly how much water to put into it. I know when I've bitten off more than I can chew, and I should stop pulling so hard or pull a little bit harder with that rig. That rig is my favorite, and I talk about it a lot. I show it off a lot. I'll pop a picture in right now so that you guys can see the rig I'm talking about. But that's the rig I love to hit. It feels really nice on my lungs, gives me a good dab. When I hit other rigs, sometimes I don't even feel like I got a nice hit, got a nice buzz, because I'm like, this rig sucks or whatever. The nail is too small. The mouthpiece is shaped funny. I don't like the little pee-pee shaped mouthpiece. If it's like a pee-pee shaped, if it's phallic shaped and it's got the little hole in it and I have to make a kissy shaped face to hit it, I feel like the size dabs I take, I get a lot of concentrate built up on the kissy face part of my lips, and my lips get all sticky and they get all red and I look all weird. And then I walk around doing this for the next 20 minutes with my lips. I'm just going, because I got that sticky shit on my lips and I act like a little kid and don't know what the fuck to do with it. So I don't like the pee-pee shaped, tapered, skinny mouth rigs. I prefer a flared out trumpet mouthpiece style rig that I can just put over my mouth, and then I know that the smoke is getting in there and I don't have to make that duck face, pee-pee suck face, whatever face you're talking about. So sometimes somebody's rig, I'll take a dab of really quality concentrates and I know it's a fat dab and I'm like, where'd all that smoke go? Where's my dab, dude? What happened? And I don't know their nail. I don't know their carb cap. I don't know their rig. And so the nail is too hot or too cold. I don't cap it properly. I don't hit it at the right time. And then also the rig just sucks. It doesn't bubble right. There's too little water in there. I don't feel like I got a good dab. Then occasionally I'm gonna give praise right after I complain, just because this does happen too in reality in life. Occasionally somebody will hand me a dab and a rig and they'll be like, you want to hit my new rig? And I'll be like, that looks all fancy. And I'll go in to take a hit and that rig will uppercut me in the dick, and it will be one of the best dabs I've ever had. So it's kind of unpredictable sometimes with the rig. It depends on the shape of the rig, the quality of the rig, who made the rig has a lot to do with it. There are some makers out there that really focus on getting a good fat rip. Some people want to, and this is all opinion based. Some people, in my opinion, like or want too many bubbles and spinnies and functions and twists and turns and fucking fancy ways for the water to go and drains and spouts and twisties. And I said twisty too many times, but they want all these directions and cool flows and recycles and in cycles and out cycles and donuts and shit. That's cool. But in my opinion, every one of those twists, turns, ins, outs steals a little bit of my dab. It steals the airflow. It steals the terps. It steals the resin, and it's more to clean. It's just not for me. I like a dab that goes from the banger to the water to where it cools off a little bit, doesn't splash me in my mouth, and then into my brain so that it's just like dab and uppercut. Oh, I'm stoned. That's what I want from it. So I got off on a huge ramble on there, but the rig, the fucking setting, the environment, that rig has a lot to do with it, in my opinion, is where I was headed. A lot of people like a really ornate rig. I prefer a simple rig. Punch me in the face, get me going. So who you're hanging out with will have a lot to do with it. If you smoke with me, or if you smoke with your fucking lawyer, or if you smoke with a judge, probably going to cop a different buzz. Environment. If you're smoking before you go into a rock concert or a dispensary, totally chill. You shouldn't be paranoid at all. If you smoke before you go into court or walk into the bank, you're probably going to get the sweats. You're probably going to get the armpit sweats and a little bit of anxiety. It's all about setting. It's all about where you're going. Then also the rig and the product are going to have a lot to do with the buzz. Then what you've eaten, what you've consumed, your physical health, your mental health are going to have a lot to do with how that buzz comes onto you. I really, really talked a lot longer than I meant to about that part. So this is the part where I'm going to jump into some Patreon questions. I've gotten a lot of like short, random Patreon questions that have just been sitting around. So I kind of just compiled a few of them. A couple come from people that are, they send me a lot of questions. A couple of these are from brand new people. I'm just going to go through a few of these and see if I can't knock out a couple of pages of these just like short, random questions. I think the first two came from the same person. So with less rambling, a little less talk, a little more action, let's jump into the first one. It says, here is a question for you, Rasta Jeff. Sometimes I hear you talk about rubbing the stems of the male plant as you describe the odors in very vivid and graphic terms. Yes, some of my terms are very graphic. Then it says, are we to take from this that terpene profiles are male dominant traits? So let's talk about this question. When I do talk about selecting male plants and also female plants, I like to rub the stem of the plant, the stalk of the plant. So you got the fucking base of the plant, and I've lollipopped that probably a few inches, and then the branches come up and whatever. A lot of times I'll just grab that naked stalk of the plant, just pinch it with my fingers and rub it, give it a little rub and tug, and then smell my fingers. And I notice a lot in those aromas that come off of there. That's not what the plant is going to smell like when it's finished. That's not what the final product will smell like, but it tells me a little bit of what the ingredients I'm working with now smell like. And from experience, from being a breeder that's done this a lot, I know what the now flavor, the now smell will turn into later and what it translates to into the breeding project. So I know that in my opinion, a male plant that smells acrid, like vomit, like bar trash can, like that fermented bar trash can. If you've ever had to take out the trash at the bar, if you've ever taken out the trash at the bowling alley or somewhere that serves booze and food, there's this acrid smell in the bottom of the trash can that's just, it's fermented, it's funky, it's putrid. That smell in a male plant translates to gassy, funky, burnt rubber, tennis ball, cushy, stanky aromas when you breed with that plant. So that's why I talk about rubbing the male of the plant. I give it a little rub and tug, straight up smell my fingers and observe what I've smelled. Then try to hit the fingers with rubbing alcohol, get all that smell off of there, rub them on your jeans or on your khakis real hard. Use your other hand, smell another plant, then clean that hand again, and then hopefully by now the terps are gone from both hands. You go back and repeat the process. You could smell a few plants and see what you're working with. One will fucking stand out. Even if you don't clean your fingers enough, one of them will make you go, ooh. Go with your heart. Go with your body. Go with your senses. That's like your body knows when you need something, desire something, want something, when something's going to work for you. When you smell oranges, you go, that smells good because there's vitamins in there. When you smell poop, your body goes, I probably shouldn't eat that because that's waste. we're programmed to know what our body wants. So go with the one that your nose tells you to go with. I did a podcast maybe 6 years ago that's called Follow Your Nose, because your nose always knows. That's what Toucan Sam taught us, and it's still accurate. Follow your nose, because your nose is one of your biggest receptors that can tell your body what's good for you and what's bad for you. Like I just said, oranges smell good for a reason. Poo-poo smells bad for a reason. Now, the question is, are we to take from this that terpenes are male dominant traits? No, that is not what I mean by that. I just know what that male trait delivers to the mix, and I know that I've had success using that ingredient. So a lot of when you're chefing, you need to use butter and cream or two other things I can't think of right now that would mix well, but butter and cream mix well every fucking time, right? Or salt and cream. I'm fucking that all up anyway. You got to salt the cream, right? So if you've got a plant that fucking, you can always count on that male plant that smells like puke to be your cream. It's always going to work with most things, or it's always going to be your butter. You can butter up almost everything. It's always going to work. So it's just chefing in my opinion. I've had good, that may have been a terrible fucking analogy. I may have lost everybody with that, but you know me. So I just think that it's like chefing, and I know that that's a good starter. That's a good base. That's a good color palette to bust out to start with. It will mix well with a lot of things. It will complement a lot of things. That muted puke flavor is like kind of on the darker, grayer side if you think in colors. And if you mix it with the pinks and blues, which you get from like strawberry, blueberry, oranges, which you'd get from orange flavored terps, it allows them to mingle very well together. Then you get that dark color with the lighter color, and it brings out the best of both worlds. That's a little view into my weird thought process on colors and flavors and chefing and creating strains. I just know that puke flavored trait evolves or translates into good things in the future. I know that if you've got a male plant that smells acrid and sour, that you get that weird, swampy, cushy flavor in the end. If it's got berries at the start, it's going to have way too much berries in the flavor in the end. That's just something I know from working with a lot of male plants. So rub those males, rub the females, see what they work, see what they smell like, see what they turn into once you work with them a few times. You'll get familiar with it. You'll say when it smells like berries at the start, when it's got this watermelon smell or strawberry smell at the beginning, it turns into grapefruits at the end or something. You'll notice that. You'll start to learn that. That's just all from growing the same plants over and over and over again. All right. Thank you for that great question, my friend. I'm going to move on to the next question on my cards here. It says, Rasta Jeff, thank you for sharing your unique talent. Have you ever included cow manure compost or mushroom compost in your soil mixes? Do you have an opinion one way or the other? And I just simply replied with no, because that is not my style. I buy cocoa, I buy perlite, and I mix cocoa and perlite together, and that's generally my mix for a commercial grow. In my personal grows, I honestly rotate from something like a Roots Organics or the 707 mix. Sometimes I buy, Fertilume in the red bag. Then I put a lot of perlite in that. Sometimes I buy, what is the other one? Fox Farms Ocean Forest. I buy right now, it's kind of hard to get a lot of soil because things are limited because of the situations we're in. So I get what is available. And I believe that since I'm feeding my plants with such good nutrients, I mainly use New Millennium bottled nutrients with a couple of additives. There's some Bud Swell in there. There's some Green Sensation in there. There's a little bit of Veg Bloom products in there. I use the Shine. But I'm mainly using high quality inputs. So as long as I've got a good substrate for my plants to hang out and the roots to be in, as long as I'm feeding them well, I'm not super picky about my soil or my medium. As long as it's kind of fluffy and it's well aerated and it's a good quality and it's clean, then that's what I'm using. But I usually don't use any sort of compost, no manure or anything like that. I live in the city. My neighbors are close. I don't have a lot of space, a lot of yard space, a lot of room for like composting and shit like that. I just got a lot of storage and shit like that taking up all my space. So that's not my style. So no, never done that. Probably won't do that. Just not the way that I grow. I'm more of a commercial grower with a different mindset, doing things a little bit of a different way. The next weird question that I got was, is your real name Jeff? Yeah, the name is Jeff. I am the Lemon Jeffrey. I'm the Jeff behind Lemon Jeffrey. That's why it was named Lemon Jeffrey. That's me, bro. Oh God, I'm not even editing that out. Rasta Jeff, Lemon Jeff. That's where all the Jeff stuff comes from. Yes, the name is Jeff. Real name's Jeffrey if you want to get technical. All right. What about old bottles of nutrients? I have unopened quarts of CalMag and containers of Great White that are 3 or more years old should I flush them into my septic tank? There's a lot to unpack in that question. A lot of your products should have an expiration date printed on them. If you look on the lid or on the bottom of the bottle, somewhere there should be an expiration date. I don't know what those companies recommend for storage for long-term use. If they're more than a year old, I generally get rid of them. The quarts of CalMag, I would open up and smell it. See what it smells like. If it smells like CalMag should, if you've been using CalMag for a while, you know what it smells like. It smells like CalMag, like a bottle of CalMag. It's got a very distinct smell to it. When you get it on your fingers, you smell it all day. It's not terrible, but it's got a very noticeable aroma. Smell them. See if they're okay. I would consider using the CalMag maybe if it's past its expiration date. But if you can toss it and get another one, if it's affordable, I would just do that. Don't risk it. If it's chunky, if it smells bad, then toss it immediately. Check for an expiration date. The Great White. I don't know how hot or cold you've had those stored. I don't know how dry or moist in which the environment in which those were stored has been. But if it hasn't changed colors, I think it starts off like a whitish gray. If it hasn't turned purple or too dark and it hasn't clumped up and gotten chunky, it's probably okay to use. The good thing is, if you use that product and it is expired, you're probably not, let me try to fucking get my tongue under control here. You're probably not going to cause any harm by using that product should it be expired. You've just got a bunch of dead microbes. It'll just be a bunch of inert matter that'll just be just sand basically floating around in your water when you mix it in. So I don't think there will be a problem if you do attempt to use it. However, I would look for an expiration date on both of those. Maybe I do not work for those companies. I would say maybe contact the vendors, the manufacturers, and see how long they recommend you keep them around. If they were in a cool, dry, dark, safe environment, maybe they'll last a little longer. If you had adverse conditions, extremes of one end or the other, they're probably toast, and I would consider getting rid of them. If you can afford it, toss them out, get some fresh shit. Not talking trash about your budget. I know everybody has shit tightened down right now because of the pandemic, because of the situation in which we are all facing. So I don't really have any solid advice for you. Contact the vendors or check out the products. If the dried products have become purple or chunky and dried up and stuck together, I would toss that. If it's gummy, I would definitely toss that. If the other product is chunky as well, smells bad. If they smell bad, don't use them, get rid of them. Contact the vendors, see what they say. Look for that expiration date. Here's another question I found to be kind of funny. This is not grow related. This is just random. It says, what did Walmart do to piss you off? I did not know that I had expressed anywhere that I had any sort of hatred or anger toward Walmart, but I just thought this was funny. It was something I could just address really quickly. I do try to answer all of the Patreon questions, and this one came in, so I'm standing by my word and doing my best to answer this, and it could be real quick if I'd quit rambling about it. What did Walmart do to piss me off? Nothing like directly, nothing like they didn't stab me, they didn't punch me. I just don't like the way that Walmart treats the community. I don't think that they're not, it's not cool, man. It's Babylon, man. They come to communities and they shut down mom and pop stores, and then they build the big Walmart store, and then every 3 blocks you got a Walmart neighborhood market, and it makes it hard for the small mom and shop community stores, yes, those two, to stay in business and survive. And as a small business myself, I understand what it's like. We need to make ends meet. We need to pay our employees and fucking handle things. It's a struggle sometimes. So seeing Walmart crush things was kind of weird. And then if you want to get closer to home, my mom no longer works there, so I could talk about it. My mom worked at Walmart, and they didn't give a fuck about her. I love my mom dearly. She's the most important person in my world, in my life. And Walmart treated my mom like shit. So watching somebody or a company or an entity treat somebody you love more than anything, that you wish you could solve all their problems and fucking just pay their way for life, to see that company treat my mama like shit, that made me salty, to be quite honest with you. She worked there for years. You guys don't care about what my mom did for Walmart, and my mom probably doesn't want her business broadcasted out, but I feel like Walmart did her dirty. So, and not just one time. I just feel like it was a continued fuck you from Walmart to her and to the family, just because of the way they treated her. She was a kick-ass employee. I got my work ethic from my mom, and if you guys know me, you know I fucking work my ass off. My mom will work circles around me. She's old enough to be my mama, obviously, and she will still fucking work circles around me. So I'm salty at Walmart for treating my mama like shit. Anybody that treats your mama like shit, you're going to have some hatred for. I don't know that it's hatred. Salty is the word. if I can shop anywhere else, I just go there. There's no need for me to give my money that I work for. My mama works hard for her money. There's no need to spend my money at a company that doesn't give a shit about the people, that does kind of sketchy, shady things. I should be careful with what I'm saying because they may fucking delete my SKU tag and I may fucking disappear. I may be taken out of inventory and never fucking return here if I keep talking. So I just didn't like the way they treated my mom. She doesn't work there anymore, so we can talk shit now. They can't fire her. They can't do a fucking thing, but I just didn't like it. So that's pretty much why I'm salty on Walmart. They didn't do anything directly. They just a bunch of years of just fucking jabs, just being dicks. Like, I don't know. I just didn't care for it. That's not cool. There's probably better places to work. And if you work for Walmart, do your thing. I understand it's a pandemic. Get your fucking paycheck. But, oh, man. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't work there. And I'm privileged and blessed, so I understand things are different. But that's what Walmart did to piss me off. They was mean to my mama. And anybody that's got a problem with my mama got a problem with me. Kind of fucking joking, mostly fucking serious. So let's keep moving forward. This is a fun podcast. I like these short questions. This is a good Thursday show. I think this comes out on Thursday. Happy Thursday, y'all. This one goes like this. I'm never going to say y'all again either. Hey, bro, big fan with a big question. Is flash photography bad for the plants? Could it go as far as making our plants turn into hermaphrodites or express intersex traits? I do not think that flash photography is bad for the plants during the lights on cycle. Don't disrupt the nighttime cycle with flash photography. That will probably piss them off. You can think of it like this. What do you accept when you're sleeping? You want it still, dark, and quiet, right? Shut the fuck up, turn off the lights, and don't bother me. That's what you want when you're sleeping. Guess what? That's what the plants want also. They want to be in a cool temperature, a cool environment. They just don't want to be fucked with. They want it dark, they want it quiet, and they want to be left the fuck alone. If I walked into your bedroom when you fell asleep 2 or 3 hours after, just walk in there and start going, hey, could I get you to maybe strike a pose, bitch? And then start taking pictures with flash photography, you're going to throw everything in reach at me, and I'm going to have photos of it. It's going to be really funny. I'm going to post them and tag you. But fucking shit's going to come flying at me from all directions. Your glass of water you got by the bedside, that's coming. The book you were reading before bed, that's coming. If I haven't ran yet, you're probably shooting at me by now for taking flash photography of you trying to sleep. You're probably in your undies, probably don't look your best, probably all puffy-faced and fucking confused. The plants feel the same way. Don't go taking pictures of the ladies in there. Don't take any pictures of ladies in their sleeping unless you got their permission, you guys. No ladies, even none of the ladies, all of you guys out there listening to me, no ladies want you taking their pictures when they're sleeping. That comes down to the cannabis plants, and all ladies in our lives don't do it. Skip that. Be a better person than that. That's partly a joke again, completely fucking serious. When they're awake, let them get dressed up, let them pose, let them do their thing, let them be prepared, and take all the flash photography you want. I don't think flash photography will harm the plants in the daylight cycle. In the nighttime cycle, yes, you've got the potential to cause huge catastrophic problems with flash photography, in my opinion. Just because you're walking in there, you probably got a light on when you go in there. You got to maneuver around the room. You're taking pictures. You're looking at the camera screen, probably using your phone for a flashlight, not even thinking about that being a light. Just take pictures when the lights are on. Use your flash photography at that point. They will be cool. I don't think that'll make them harm. I've been going for a long time. I've got one more question. We're going to finish this page of questions. Then we'll wrap up this random questions episode. This one says, another soil question for you. Hey, Rasta Jeff, I know you've worked at a commercial grow in your youth. That's funny. In my youth, I was a shithead. Most of my commercial growing has been as an adult, but thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe I'm still in my youth. Fuck yeah. Still in my youth. Anyway, it says, with all of the craft breweries in Colorado, have you ever heard of anyone making a soil blend containing a percentage of spent barley grains from the brewery? Then they sign their name. I don't know if they want their name said. I did not ask. I did not verify, clarify, or confirm or deny. So I'm not going to say that, but let's answer the question. I have never heard of that, honestly. I'm sure it's happening somewhere. I don't think it's happening in a commercial grow because there's probably some stupid rule that bans the brewery from giving out that spent stuff, and another stupid rule that would ban the commercial grow from accepting that spent stuff. Honestly, there's probably some logistics that put a big piece of red tape from allowing that to happen. That's just how both of those industries work. They're both highly overly regulated, and there would just be, I'd probably have to pay $1 million to buy it, and then probably they'd have to spend a fucking $1 million just to sell it to me. Only the governing agencies would make the $2 million. Both of us would be fucked out of money. That's just how the shit works in commercial cannabis and commercial alcohol production. So I don't know anybody doing that. That's my assumption, by the way. Once again, bro science, bro news, bro info. I don't know anybody doing it. Never heard of it done. Is that a good idea? Containing a percentage of barley grains from the brewery. I don't know. Never thought of that. Never heard of that idea. That's a new one for me, but very creative. And thank you for the podcast content. All right, I think that's as far as I'm going to go with all of these random questions that I've printed out here. This was a fun episode. I had a good time. You guys, thank you for letting me regroup. We had a couple of episodes that were kind of off the rails there. We had a rest in peace episode. Once again, shout out and rest in peace to my buddy Stony Scholar. Hope the whole family is recovering well. Hope extended family and all the podcast gang is recovering well. Then we had a birthday episode where the podcast had a birthday. That one wasn't very informative. Now this one we had another episode where I tried to do some educating, answer some questions. Now we've got this episode here where I just did 20 questions with Rasta Jeff. Thank you. Jeez, excuse me for that. Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to get my shit back together. I'm back on the rails. The show will only continue to improve from here. Thank you for hanging out. I think it is time to wrap up this episode. My throat's obviously done. I'm over here what are the words? Choking and coughing. I tried to say chalking, which I don't think is a real word. Maybe it is now. All right, this was a fun episode, you guys. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for letting me ramble at you for over 30 minutes. You got a long show out of me. Thank you for hanging out on a Thursday. I'll be back in a couple of days with fresh new content. If you feel like this episode was educational, informative, entertaining, maybe you learned a couple of things, maybe I improved your garden, maybe I increased your harvest weight, maybe you'd like to contribute to the show, all you have to do is visit www.patreon.com/growfromyourheart. All of the information you need to support the show will be right there on the screen. Where else do we go from there? Email address. If you've got any questions, corrections, comments, or concerns, you know I would love to hear from you. Again, that email address is growfromyourheart@hotmail.com. Don't be shy. Send me your questions. We'll get you answered here on the podcast. Again, don't forget about the website at iriegenetics.com. That is all I've got, you guys. My voice is done. I need a drink. I need a dab. I need some good food in my life. Then we're going to take some more dabs. Then we're going to take some more dabs. Ladies and gentlemen, be good to one another. Be good to yourself. Be good to the garden. I'll catch you in a couple of days. Let's give a big, giant shout out to my friend Black Thumb Grower. And until next time, take a fat dab and give your mama a hug for me.